You want to win a gold medal?
Sure.
You want to do it in Berlin? Well, I mean, unless you were planning on waiting.
Okay, well, Grandma, what do you think of the film Race, all about Jesse Owens and his competing in the 1936 Olympics in Nazi Berlin? What do you think?
I thought it was wonderful. It's a true story, of course, and I can remember, of course, I wasn't even born yet.
No.
But
still have a little ways to go.
That's right. But I remember learning about him and learning about the significance of the event in American history. The civil rights movement in our country hadn't even begun in 1936. Most black folks had a difficult time of it, very little rights. For him to go to Ohio State University, this is how the story starts, you know, at the beginning of his career, was very, very unusual. And his breaking of the rules, you know, the polite society rules, you know, Negroes don't do that, you know, you don't know. And even once when they were traveling, he wanted to know where the colored rooms were, and was surprised that there weren't any colored rooms in this particular, you know, Olympic journey. As far as the challenges that any athlete, talented athlete, faces in the training and how important the coach is to that athlete, and how important being able to follow the dream and achieve the goals that he has set for him. All of that was very well presented. When we got into the Nazi regime and what that meant in Germany, that was well presented too, I think. After all Germans were not Nazis. Just like in any government, you know, you have your believers and your non-believers, or your not-believers. And one of the events in the Olympic races that Jesse was running, or the jumping, that was very, very clear. I thought the filmmakers did a really good job of presenting the story. What did you think?
Well, I thought it was pretty good. I think that, again, you can't go wrong with the story. I mean, the story is a very compelling story, a very interesting story.
I didn't realize he had won 4. I knew he had won 3, but that 4th one where he substituted, yeah.
Again, it's a story, though, that, again, most people know pretty well. Again, they don't know perhaps the details and such, but we sort of know how it comes out. So again, it's another one of these cases where it's all in how they present it, how they show what happens. And that, you know, again, it's a lot of it is, you might say, sort of paint by numbers. It's not that special. Again, the story itself is, again, a good story, but the filmmaking itself is not anything special. Again, the actors all do a good job. And again, following the story is interesting, but you know, again, it could have been better. The part where I think it shines the best is in him going to the Olympics. Again, that's the part that's the most sort of
when he's actually there.
Yeah, I mean that's the part that's the tensest, you might say, in
And
terms
this
of
huge
what's going
stadium
on.
packed with people from all over the world. Here he is, essentially by himself out there.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think a lot of that is very well done. A
Yes.
lot of the other stuff, especially again him the training and such leading up to it and such, is it's all right, but it's not anything that special. There's only so much to the story, so they sort of augmented the movie a bit to fill it out with sort of some subplots which don't relate directly to him. I mean, they had this whole subplot at the beginning of the film about whether the United States would even be involved in it,
Mm-hmm.
and again, the sort of the negotiating with the Nazis about how they would.
And our Olympic committee
Yeah.
trying
So
to
again,
decide.
there was that whole sort of subplot that didn't
Yeah.
involve him at all, that we would go to every now and then and come back to Jesse Owens later.
Shouldn't we boycott it because the Nazis are so?
And then later there was this whole sort of subplot about Leni Riefenstahl, the German film director, and again her making her famous film Olympia about these Olympics, and again her struggles with Nazi Germany and being able to get her artistic freedom to make that film. So again, we would go off to her story every now and then. So again, the film sort of got off of the Jesse Owens story every now and then to sort of fill it out, and I don't know that necessarily worked either. But I mean, again, it's an interesting story altogether, and again, I think I would recommend it, but it's not as good as perhaps it could have been. But it was all right.
I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I thought the choice of actors in every role
Mm-hmm.
was very good. The young man was very physically fit. You could see that.
That was a challenge
like
in the
you-
casting right there, is to find somebody
who could present himself as this world-class athlete, and you would believe it.
Mhm.
Well, you believe it.
Mhm.
And in his actual running, he convinced me. I don't know how fast he actually was, but as far as Jesse Owens goes, he was setting world records left and right. He was really, really, really good.
So you would recommend it?
I definitely would recommend it.
How many thumbs you give
For
it?
anything, for one thing, it's a history lesson for everybody who doesn't have any idea really
That's true.
who Jesse Owens was, and how objectionable the Nazis were. You could see why the Olympic Committee was, oh Lord, do we really want to go over there to the Olympics run by the Nazis, to do that? Yes, I would recommend it. Thumb up and thumb up. I would. 2 thumbs.
Good.
Yes.
Yes, again, it's
It's really
worth
good.
seeing. It's an interesting film.
Definitely interesting, yes.